I created G-plans out of nutrition frustration. One day during nutrition studies at Duke University, we came across a revelation. We discovered that everyone has a completely unique metabolic structure and type. Eating a generic diet program will not get you the results you want, and you will continue on a path of yo-yo dieting forever. Ultimately, sustainable food programs are built within your own specific metabolic template.
I eat what Dr. G tells me to eat for my metabolic type. I don't call this program a diet because I eat more than on other programs.
Hello there and welcome to today's Nutrition Masterclass. My name is Savannah, Nutritionist here at G-Plans, and I'm so glad you joined me here today. I saw Scott checking in from South Carolina, so good to see you here. So here shortly, we're going to dive in right into today's topic. What we're going to be discussing today is really the importance of consistency in order to see the best progress, how important consistency is, and really how to let go of more of maybe an all or nothing type of mindset. So we're going to get started there today. And as a reminder, please feel free, go ahead and add to the chat box if you have any questions kind of come up throughout today's presentation. I'd love to take those at the end and kind of chat with you there. So see a few more people checking in here. Miranda, hello from Texas. Yolanda from California. And Robert, hello to you from Texas as well. Good to see you all. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Okay. All right. So topic for today is when weight loss is your goal, consistency is key. All right. Okay, so here's today's table of contents and what we'll be covering. First, we're going to have an intro as to why consistency really is key for weight loss, how to let go of an all or nothing kind of mindset. After that, I'm going to ask you a little bit what helps you specifically to stay consistent. And then after that, we're going to talk a little more about maybe what consistency looks like. Then we'll close everything out with the tip of the week. And lastly, our weekly special promotion. Okay, and so always as a reminder, please feel free to send me an email. If you have something, maybe you don't want to add to the chat box, a personal question, anything like that, you'll find my email there on the screen. We'll also have that in the chat box for you today as well, so feel free to do that. Okay, so again, when it comes to weight loss, consistency is key. Often when we begin a wellness journey, we do maybe strive for perfection. We go into it with maybe a more all or nothing kind of mentality, and we feel guilty if we aren't perfect every day. However, the key to successful weight loss is not to be perfect, but rather to be consistent over time. Studies do show that in general, the faster that you do lose weight, the more likely you are to gain that weight back over the long term. This is partially because plans that lead to very rapid weight loss are not sustainable and they're impossible to stay consistent with. So, at the end of the day, think sustainably. Doing things like severely restricting your calories or ditching carbs altogether may give you dramatic upfront weight loss results, but they definitely don't make sense if you want lifelong success. Research supports the types of behavior changes that are sustainable long term. One way to ensure sustainable, lasting weight loss is to set healthy habits, set goals for yourself, and really examine those daily habits that you have in your routine. Okay, so I'm going to talk more about how to let go of that all or nothing kind of mindset. So again, this can really backfire on us and prevent us from establishing a good, consistent routine we can stick with. So first things first, make sure you're setting SMART goals, something we've talked about a lot here in our master classes. Set goals and stick with maybe 1 or 2 at a time. Make sure when you're setting these goals that you're setting goals that set you up for success. So keep them specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So that SMART acronym, that helps to ensure that you're setting the right types of goals that work for you. Next is understand and know that there are no bad foods. So there's definitely certain foods that are more nutrient dense than others, that may be of a higher quality in general, but there's no bad foods. When you do kind of get that in your head, there's certain foods that are good and bad, and when you restrict yourself too much, you may find that you end up craving those foods even more. So allow yourself that flexibility on occasion and know that no foods are completely off limits. Next up too is get back on track. So removing any limits on foods, it puts you back in control. If you eat something that's maybe not the healthiest choice, just enjoy it and then move on. No big deal. It's all about getting back on track. So again, don't overly restrict yourself. That can lead you to falling off track. Not a big deal. Have something you like and then just get right back on track with your plan afterwards. Important here too is what I wrote here, try a new recipe. So make sure you have a little variety on occasion. Don't allow yourself to get really bored with your plan. So repeating recipes that work for you, that's a great thing to do. It's excellent if you find what works really well and repeat it. However, make sure that you're mixing things up on occasion. And this could be something small. You might use that same recipe that you really enjoy. Maybe try a different protein, a different vegetable, or different spices. Try out some new recipes as well. We have plenty to check out, of course, in our G Plans app, or maybe when you're at the store, especially this time of year as things are in season, find a new form of produce, something new to try. And lastly here is ensure that you're tracking your progress. So tracking your progress is so essential so that you can take notice of those accomplishments, of what you're achieving along your journey. This will also help you to learn about maybe any areas that might need more work and help so that you can really learn how to build those new habits. So this is one thing, again, too, when we're focused on weight loss. Again, sometimes we can get a little maybe too focused on the scale alone. So track your progress, maybe write in a journal those non-scale victories that you're noticing. You're noticing increased energy, things like this. So take notice of those so you can see all of the changes that you're seeing, and really be proud of that, and also use this information so that you know how to really build the best routine for you. Okay, so let me know what helps you personally to stay consistent with your plan. How have you built healthy habits into your lifestyle? And if you do fall off track, what helps you to get back on board? I'd love if you share some of that with me in the chat box today, and I would love to share what works for you at the end of today's presentation. All right, and so little overview here. So what exactly does consistency even look like? These are the big pieces that you really want to make sure, of course, that you're staying as consistent as you can with these. And obviously, at the end of the day, there's always going to be times, again, where we slip up. But building those habits, sticking with it, and staying as consistent as possible is going to help you see the best results. First off is tracking and meal timing. So staying consistent with eating about every 3 to 4 hours through the day and tracking your food intake is definitely key to good progress. Eating consistently helps to keep your metabolism functioning as best it can, and tracking your intake, of course, is helping to ensure that you're consuming the correct portion sizes and the right balance of macronutrients. Also helps you when you're tracking, of course, as well, to be a little more aware of what you're eating. So even if, of course, you might not be tracking, for the rest of your life, it might not be tracking long term, even just for now, it's really going to help you learn more about portions, be more aware of macronutrient balance, and things like that. Next up is water intake. So, are you drinking maybe about a glass of water with each meal? If you're not right now, that's a great place to start with your water intake. And that helps you stay pretty consistent throughout the day. Staying hydrated with mainly just pure water, that will really help you to support weight loss. So again, too, if you're dehydrated, you can sometimes as well notice that maybe you have some cravings or you're a little more hungry. So ensure that you are definitely staying hydrated. Sleep as well. So this can be an overlooked one, especially when it comes to weight loss. Yet it is so important for that good progress and overall health as well. Studies definitely have shown that when we are sleep deprived, we do tend to have more cravings throughout the day and typically eat a bit more throughout the day as well. So making sure you're getting out at minimum at least 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night, of course ideal up to 8 hours. Really prioritize your sleep as best you can and know that's important to progress. Lastly, here we have activity. So getting some amount of consistent activity is very important for weight loss. Weight loss in the short term, but over the long term, to be able to maintain your weight, activity is very important as well. So if you don't have maybe a routine right now, make sure you start small. So don't get started with 5 days a week exercise. Start small, maybe 1-2 days a week, or maybe just 10 minutes a day. Different ways you can kind of split it up that way. So then when you start small, you can gradually increase that intensity or the frequency over time as you feel ready. So set a SMART goal, something that's very realistic, attainable for you. Get started with that activity, and then when you feel ready, go ahead and add on some more and boost it up from there. All right, and so we've made it to my tip of the week. Today's tip of the week is focused on today's subject as well, and we're talking about what to do after a lapse. So kind of falling off track with plan, what do you do? First off, know that there will always be times when you may fall off track with your routine. It's going to happen. The key here is not to be too hard on yourself for this and to pause, reflect, and just make a plan to get back on track. So when we kind of beat ourselves up for falling off track, that is not helping us to get back on board in a positive way. That can really continue to throw us further off track with the plan. One thing to know too is that, so if you did kind of have a lapse, maybe you had a weekend where you were off and you weren't so proud about that. Maybe you came back and you noticed you were up a couple pounds. Again, do not beat yourself up. get right back on board with plan, and know too that sometimes if you've jumped up in weight that quickly over a couple days, a lot of that's going to be maybe some water retention as well. So get right back on board with your plan. Life will happen. So do not beat yourself up. First, ensure that you do allow yourself, of course, some flexibility on occasion. So again, like I mentioned earlier, if we're totally restricting ourselves, we are not allowing, certain foods, even on occasion here, that can really get us to the point where we're craving those things even more. So give yourself some occasional flexibility. And if you feel that you've slipped up a bit, also do reflect on what triggers could have led to you falling off track, and then determine if anything you could have done to have adjust these triggers, and that will help you in the future. So again, we're kind of going back here to what we've discussed in the past when it comes to a habit loop. So when you maybe have a lapse, you kind of fall off track, go ahead and jot down on paper, maybe write down what triggers. Can you think of anything that might have triggered you to falling off track? Identifying this will help you to kind of stop that habit in its place. So next time that comes around, you're more prepared. So this can be a great learning experience as well. So don't beat yourself up. Know it will happen. Learn from that lapse and just get back on board from there. All right, so very last thing here today is our special promotion for the week. We have a great deal this week, and it is buy one, get one free on our meal boxes. So definitely want to check that out. It's a great way, of course, to save some time, have a pre-prepared option that's just ready to go for you. So check this out in your email today. That's a great special to take advantage of, and you'll find all the information there in your email. And this does bring us today. This is the end of today's presentation. So if you do have anything else you'd like to add to the chat box, feel free to do so at this time. All right. Pulling up questions here. Okay. All right. I see Miranda says, luckily this plan is delicious and keeps me full. Even when I slip, it's really easy to stay consistent. That is amazing, Miranda. So glad you're really enjoying the recipes, the variety. And again, make sure you're trying new recipes. Sounds like you are, Miranda. We got a lot of good ones to try, and that's a great way to help keep you on track as well. Okay, and Miranda did say, how can I add flaxseed and chia seeds to my foods without going way over on fat and carbs? I haven't found that balance just yet. That's a great question, Miranda, because of course, flax seeds, chia seeds, they do have a great healthy fat content. However, you got to be a little careful with the portions and how things fall with your macros for the day. I would suggest, Miranda, especially when it comes to some of our breakfast recipes in the app, we do have some great breakfast choices like smoothies, bowls, and things that do incorporate flax seeds and chia seeds. So I would say try out one of those recipes, because of course with G Plans, the app will ensure to adjust those portions and make sure it fits best in the day for you. So check out some of those options with our smoothies, oats, and breakfast choices there. All right. Hello, Carolyn from Italy. Good to see you. All right. Tim says the mirror and scale enforce consistency for me. That is excellent, Tim. So that's a good note. I know everyone's a little different here. So I've had a lot of people that I've talked to that find it very helpful to weigh themselves every day. They find that really helps keep them accountable. At the same time, that doesn't maybe work best for everybody. So of course, day to day, we may see some fluctuations in our weight, and sometimes, that can be a little triggering. That might kind of be a little frustrating for some. So glad that works for you. But again, too, no, it's find a way one time a week. Find what works best for you to hold yourself accountable, and it may look a little bit different for you individually. All right. Oh, okay. Well, Erin, good. I'm glad you thought it was some good advice today, and thank you all so much for your feedback there in the comment section. Rachel here as well says, how does eating out play a role? That's another great question. Rachel, it can be a little tough with eating out, of course, because a lot of the times, some restaurants will show you nutritional information. A lot of restaurants don't. And so it can be really tough to know exactly what you're taking in. At the end of the day, no. So if you're on G plans, have one meal a week. That's your off-plan meal. You don't need to track that. Don't worry about it. Enjoy that meal. Have what you like. But beyond that, I do have another nutrition masterclass presentation that you'll have to scroll down a little bit here on our live tab for YouTube. But it is a presentation on how to eat out and make healthier choices. So I would definitely say check that out. It's going to give you some good general tips of some things to do to find some healthier options in general as well. All right. Well, hope this was a helpful presentation, of course, today. Again, ultimately, that consistency is key. So no, give yourself a little flexibility. Just get right back on board afterwards. Don't beat yourself up if you fall off track. This is about what's sustainable, the long term here. So please feel free as well. If you have any other questions for me, definitely can send me an email, and I hope I will see you next week, next Wednesday at 12 Pacific time for next week's Nutrition Masterclass.